Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You've reached the Boho Info Show and Talk Show. And today, well, you see the title, what we're going to be talking about. Stuff about the climate crisis and change and green deals and all that stuff. The pros, the cons, the everything in between, and everything that they're not saying. So, before we get started, we make no claims on anything medically, legally, or otherwise. Take everything we say with a grain of salt, do your own research, but we will provide links to the subjects that we'll be talking about and all the different interesting info that will be talked about. Um, and as you guys know, I've been following things very closely, kind of putting it underneath the microscope. And, all we've been hearing for the past 2 years uh, from the Democratic part is a bunch of hoo-ha BS, and we're hearing the same thing on the Republican side, and there's no action. All we're hearing is saying, okay, we're letting the people see the corruption. We're letting the people see the corruption. All these promises, okay, when we're thinking, that we're paying our tax paying dollars is going to come to our aid and fix and do their job as people taking the oath under the Constitution to do so and to make this country a better country. And as you guys well see, Republicans are basically doing just about nothing the same way the Democrats are. They're all a bunch of talk. And here's the thing. I think we have on both sides of the political realm, both Democrats and Republicans, and even the Rhino Republicans, a bunch of yellow bellies, yellow necks. And I know some of them, they know what that term means. Otherwise, if you don't, basically a bunch of people that are cowards, not willing to make a stand under the Constitution. So, and you get some that are making excuses on the Democrat side and saying, oh, yeah, we've taken the oath and yeah, we are staying behind the Constitution, but they're really not. Because otherwise they wouldn't be doing half the stuff that they're doing. And they're lying it. Anyway, yeah, through any of my shows, I always give my opinions, and trust me, I'm starting with my opinions already. So take it with a grain of salt. Anyway, getting back to it. And on the Republican side, I've been contacted on different levels of things. I can't say much here on air, but I'm sorry, but they think that all the American people are going to do something. The Republicans are thinking that us American people are going to do something about it. Where our vote is really going to matter. Well, I got news flash for you Republicans, the GOP, if you better be listening, the House GOP, the Senate GOP, everybody GOP, okay? I don't care if you're in Florida or another state or where you are. By the way, I am stationed in Florida, so I have the freedom of speech here in Florida, Mr. YouTube, and a few others out there. But anyway, they think American people are going to fix this. Well, how can they fix this when our gas prices are through the roof? We're basically almost taking food off our table to feed our families with, to put in our gas tank. More and more of us, millions of Americans, are going to be going into pantries as the gas prices keep going up, which means what? The pantries are going to start drying up. So and you heard recently about the beef, right? Where there's a bunch of cattle out west, belly up. You've seen probably some of the articles on Twitter or other places on social media where they're showing a bunch of dead cattle. Well, what do you think is going to go to your beef prices? They're going to soar through the roof, right? Same thing with any other kind of cattle or any kind of animals, chickens, pigs, you name it. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. They're going to blame it out. Of course, the Democrats are going to blame it on Russia. Guess what? I got a news flash for you. It's not Russia's fault. It is Biden's fault and the Democrats' fault. Here's why, and here's the proof. They shut off the gas and oil line from the east to west, north and south. You shut that down, guess what happens? Everything else behind it falls like dominoes, and the same thing happens. It gets shut down, or we don't have any. Okay, just like you've seen shortages in the stores for certain things when you go grocery shopping and etc., medicines and so on. Okay, so for those that are Democrat, why are you still even voting Democrat? I mean, what is it going to take for you to actually starve to death, to actually not have any water, to actually not have any gas to put in your gas tank? Keep voting Democrat. That's what's going to happen. Okay. Now, I'm not saying the Republicans are fancy dancy, okay, and they're going to save the earth. No, okay. But what we're going to discuss in the show is what you've seen there on the climate crisis stuff. And I think it's overdue. There's no other YouTube channel diving into this. I mean, they've seen everything else in corruption in the world, right? On every level of different subjects of the Democrats and, whoever's that are connected to them. But have they really looked into this part? No. So I'm going to be probably the first YouTube channel or first person to talk about it. And I think it's long overdue. And I'm in the state of Florida. I'm stationed in Florida. And you know that I'm protected under the Florida governor for my freedom of speech. And so I'm utilizing it right now in this show. We need to call out these people for who they are and show them for face value. I'm going to warn you, some of this stuff may be graphic, it may not be. I don't know. It's up to your prescription to see so, but this is definitely not a kid show. Number 2, I will provide links on the information I'll be giving you. This is vital information. Number 3, I've cleaned up all my social media. A lot of you guys are going to see things disappear, reappear, move around kind of thing. I'm spring cleaning everything. Y'all better get on all the conservative sites now. Okay. There is a definite sweep happening throughout the internet, not just with United States and social media stuff, but throughout the whole internet. They're hooking AI up. Okay. And amongst other things. And you know where that's going. For some of you, no. But anyway, that's another show. So I'm doing this because I feel like I'm a mother to the life civilization of the earth, I guess, now beyond my area. And many people come to me on different levels for different questions because I happen to, I guess, be like a mother and fix things, So anyway, we're going to go into the show. And I thank everybody for listening to me and coming to me and sharing my programs. And I'm hoping this will be an educational one as well as something that you can share with your friends, because not too many YouTubers or anybody else out there on social media is talking about this. And I'm hoping to educate the world, and kind of bring everything to face value and show them for face value. Okay. So let's start off with talking about oil industry stuff and how oil industry spends millions to boost Californian Democrats. Now here, you guys know I do a lot of research. I've done schoolwork on it, on climate change and green deals. Yes, there is problems environmental wise, but the problem that's really at hand, some of you might have seen Mr. B's speech today. It was on Fox, I think it was, about an hour ago, Eastern Central Time. But, and he signed new deals on the climate deals and all that, whatevers. Here's the problem, okay? Once the Democrats see a problem, they take full advantage of it. This is a whole new level. Okay, a whole new level of corruption. And once they see it where they can take advantage of it, guess what happens? They dive right into it, just like the CV. They dive right into it, right? So now what's going to happen? Well, you know what? Mr. B, he's going to get a bunch of people up there in the big house, and he's going to be talking and hiring a bunch of people that are supposedly advisors, experts, etc., and so on. Okay? And that's more of your tax-paying dollars out the ass. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. So, yes, we have to look at this part of it, the corruption part of it, because they're not really doing good like they think they're doing good. They're really not. They're you got to see the other part of it. And no one on the internet's exposing it, so I'm exposing it, I guess. So, oil industry spends millions to boost California Democrats. Okay, this article is in Call Matters. This is out of California, an actual magazine article. This was posted June 23rd, 2020. Okay. And in summary, the Democratic Party no longer accepts donations from the oil industry. It hasn't stopped the oil companies from spending millions to help California Democrats win on Tuesday. So here is proof that the oil industry is pumping what? Millions of dollars into the Democratic Party to move their agenda forward. See what I'm saying? You got to read between the lines. You've got to find the patterns. You got to find the codes. You got to see the programming. You've got to do it all at one time. You have to be multitasking when you get information. Okay. It says California Democrat Party no longer accepts donations from the oil industry, viewing it politically unsavory for the party to push to curb climate change, but it has stopped oil companies from spending millions to help California Democrats win on Tuesday. Instead of giving money to the party, the oil company is donating directly now to the Democratic candidates, so individuals, and pouring huge sums into outside groups that campaign for a mix of Democrat and Republican. You see, now you guys were worried about corporation stuff. You forgot the oil industry. They're doing the same thing on their level, though, on an oil industry situation. It says the petroleum industry has put in $19.2 million into the Californian politics from 2017 to 2018 in the election cycle. Now, who was all involved with politics in California at that time period? Think about it. According to Cal Matters analysis, campaign financial data, much of it is helping Republicans, including $2 million to the California Republican Party, and a portion, roughly $14 million, industry has put into the independent committee supporting some of the politicians from both parties. But the oil money helps California Democrats significantly more. It's probably more. It includes, listen to this, just to the Democratic Party, more than $853,000 in direct contributions to 47 Democrats running to the Assembly and the Senate. So you ever wonder why California has a lot of political problems with their water, political problems with their food, political problems with homeless? Because what? You have a Democratic state. You have a Democratic town. You might have a Democratic county. Okay? So the oil industry basically is backing up 47 Democrats in Assembly and a state or Senate situation in California. Now, it gets more. By the way, if you guys want to talk, I think there's a chat area you can talk into. If you got questions, put it in there. And it says here, it says, let's see, including powerful leaders of both House and legislature and the campaign, the Democratic Attorney General Xavier Becerra and Democratic candidate Lieutenant Governor State Senator Ed Hernandez. So they definitely got money from the oil industry. More than $2.8 million on independent campaign helped Democratic Susan Rubio win Los Angeles in her state. You see where the corruption is? Do you see where the money trail is? Do you see where to nip the money trail? Do you see where the Democrats are at? Okay. You can follow Democrats by the reversing the money trail and who gave the Democrats the money. You got to reverse that trail. And then you pinpoint the city, the town, the county, the state. It says more than $343,000 on independent campaign supporting re-election Democrat Assemblyman Rudy Salzas of Bakersfield also got that amount of money. Nearly $160,000 committee to a committee on the campaign for business friendly for Democrats. So you see, what is this? campaign for business friendly Democrats. Was this like a new group, a new nonprofit? I mean, here's the thing. If you go to opensecrets.org, you can look into the nonprofit organizations that the Democrats have, and there is a list, a long list. Okay, is this another one of those? Probably. But anyway, it says here, in addition to oil companies and other business interests pooling fund campaigns supporting other Democrats running for legislation, Tersha Bernhardt of Insartia and I can't say a lot of these, of Riverside, and then James Ramus of San Bernardino, and Bob Puchuta or something from Pico Rivera. Pardon me, because I can't say these, a lot of Spanish, these names. But they're all over. Even Freddie Rodriguez of Palmerna and Cindy Carlum something from Los Angeles. Anyway, I'll provide you a link. You can look at their names if you need names. Okay. So like I say, this just shows you an idea of California. Okay. And it shows you how much money they're getting, where the money is coming from, where the flow of the money is coming from, that they're funneling into nonprofits, maybe money laundering not into nonprofits. And then when it comes out, guess what? It's clean money. And then guess what? And it goes to a Democrat or it goes directly to them. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Okay. All right. Here is, let's see. And then it goes into business-backed political action committees, where the oil industry has given stuff to, the PAC on the Democrat end, okay, and so on and so forth. I don't know if any of the Californian GOP or Californian Republicans are listening to any of this, but they probably need to. So if you know someone out there, send this to them. But it goes on and on and on. It gives you lots of names in this stuff. And it basically stating here, even by the end of 2016, where they've even done stuff even to Democratic National Committee, a blowback from their labor union. It goes on and on and on and on. But I wanted you to see that for face value there. We're going to explore a little bit more. You guys with me still? Okay. And I know you want some links, so I'm going to provide some links. Give me a minute here, and then I'll switch back over and give you some links. Now, I know a lot of people are asking me, my news part, I'm vetted. Yes, I'm vetted. The other part is a lot of people say, well, you should go over to OAN News. Well, I do that, but OAN isn't even reporting on this. See, and they need to, for those who like that news up network. But I look at everything on a perspective, because you got to look at everything. And I know there's a lot of people saying, oh, there's fake stuff out there too. Yes, I know. But if you get the whole volume, it's like an encyclopedia. And then you look at all the information and you see that a lot of them correlate with each other, then you have yourself your first set of patterns and you go for it. You know what I'm saying? All right, so the other one was kind of interesting. By the way, the links should be running on the bottom of your page on some of these articles I'm giving you, showing you proof of my information and our talking of our show. Anyway, New York City DSA Economist Working Group is where I got this one from. And it says, how New York Democrats sold us out to fossil fuel lobbyists. This is another proof on their political agenda, and being that Mr. B is part of this, of the corruption. Okay, this is all huge corruption. Okay, in 2019, New York passed the Climate Leadership Community Protection Act, the bill setting major goals on climate and radical justice. Yet in 2021, New York stuck 6% wind and solar energy, while fossil fuel companies were pushing toxic power plants and pipelines on black and brown neighborhoods with impurity. So here's the thing. This climate change is kind of interwoven with racism. And it just, it's like a big knot, and it's hard to unwind it. As I develop and get into more of the research and information, as well as my schooling on it, I'll let you guys know more on how this is kind of like a swamp knot. Okay, best way to describe it, maybe in layman's terms, a swamp knot of oil industry and racism and um, that kind of thing. So, but we're not talking about that today. We're just talking about the other part. Anyway, New York Democrat leadership has blocked every major climate bill. Okay, we learn why. Here's some examples. Okay, these three people from New York, Carl Huxley, Amy Pollin, and Andrea Stewart Cousins, were all bribed. Okay. Carl Huxley was bribed with NGR, which is fracking. Okay. ExxonMobil, Con Edison, which is fossil fuels, and National Grid, which is the pipeline phase 6. Now, think about that a minute. Hope you all got your paper and pencil and pen, something to drink, because I'm taking something to drink. But remember, didn't Mr. B there shut down the pipeline? So I guess he's not getting any more bribes. So now what? Is he in trouble? Is Carl in trouble now with the pipeline thing? Okay, that's just one thing. Do you remember the fracking that was going on over in Hawaii, and then they had that major eruption with the volcano? Think about that. Now, I'm not saying that's the company necessarily until I do the research, okay? But do you see how they're interwoven and connected on the Democrat end? This is just one politician. If every American looked into every single Democrat of their connection to energy, you'd be amazed. And there'd be a whole new level of corruption beyond what we're already seeing. And I'm really shocked that there's not one dang Republican assuming the responsibility of finding not only this, but basically not only pushing back, but stomping them, taking action. I mean, they haven't taken action on any of this other corruption. What are they waiting for? Someone like me or any other regular Joe off the street to, pull a miracle out of my rear end? I need money backing, people. I mean, millions and billions of money backing. You Republicans need to grow some wavises. Okay? If you don't know what that is, it's balls. Anyway. Then Amy Pollin, she's an independent power producer, or she's bribed from these companies as well, which is Energy Power Producer of New York. Okay? Which is another Year Web climate action situation deal. Okay? The other one was Con Edison, burning fossil fuels. Okay? Another one was PSE&G, which is damage control. And Millennium Pipeline Company, which is a pipeline from Millennium Baby. Do you see now? See the two correlations with those? Just two now, Democrats. Okay, what are they similar in? Con Edison. What are they similar in? Pipeline. What are they similar in? Fossil fuel. Are you starting to feel me where the Democrats are getting their money and why they have so much money? This is why it's so important that the Republicans basically snip, siege all their assets, lose them all. You cannot have investments or payoffs from any of these people or any other corporation. Okay, let's go to the third. Andrea, another bribery. National Fuel Gas, which is no climate laws, sparsely. So they don't want any climate laws to interfere with their fuel business. NGR, Australia. National Grid, which is a pipeline in Brownsville. Brownsville, that sounds familiar. Where's that? Texas? Yeah. Con Edison. Okay, now what's the similarity off the other two? Con Edison, all three of them. So if this is just 3 out of however many Democrats, probably the rest of the Democrats are connected that way too. Number 2, National Grid. There's 2 out of the 3 that have the same thing. NRG, which is 2 out of the 3. If you notice, there are Afro-Americans right here, okay? The one in the middle isn't, that has that connection. Interesting. You got to look at the correlation on that. Okay. And then National Fuel Gas, which is a no climate law situation, which is probably she made a promise not to vote on something so that she can get her bribery. This is how you have to understand the corruption. Correlation, connection, similarities, patterns, codes, and, etc. Now, I haven't even put none of this under the Gematria code yet. I don't have to. There's plenty here already. I don't think you can handle much more of that. All right. Anyway, campaign financial data. Let's see. Here we go. So analysis of campaign financial data shows passage to the CLCPA utilities like Con Ed Energy Company, like NGR, fossil fuels, Exxon. So basically same thing I've told you guys all about. And it says here that fossil fuel and energy companies know if fighting climate change means fewer profits for the shareholders and CEOs. They decide to invest in New York Democratic Party leadership and create Climate Corruption Committee, who blocked climate action for 2 years straight. Bingo. Okay? So watch Mr. B. He's going to probably form some kind of climate committee. That's his next probably stage. And then he's going to shuffle and money launder the same way he did in Ukraine with what? The same stuff here with all the oil companies, with all the climate change, the green deals, and all that stuff. Okay? You follow me so far? How you guys doing? You still there? All right. All right. Now, by the way, I will post this up in Twitter, but go to Gab. I'll put most of my information in Gab. All right. Then here's an interesting thing. New York Climate Corruption Committee, a timeline. Here's a timeline. July 18, 2019, New York passes the CLCPA. November 6, 2019, Exxon donates $5,000 to Carl Heasley, Assembly Speaker of Democrat. It's called Slush Fund. Okay. December 10th, 2019. The IPPNY, New York Energy Trade Group, including NGR and PSEG, as members donating $1,000 to New York's Democratic Senate Campaign Committee. Who's on the Senate campaign? Schumer, Pelosi, maybe? And the senator's counterpart, Heasley Slush Fund, to the major leader, Andrea Stewart Cousin. January 28, 2020, IPNY donates $1,000 to the DACC, which is the Democratic group. February 2017-2020, residents march against the North Brooklyn pipeline. National, and February 25th to the 27th. So do you see, okay, even with marches and other things, riots, still connected to the Democrats, people. You see, are you starting to connect the dots there just a teeny bit? February 25th, 27th, 2020. Donate $1,500 to DACA, or DACC, I'm sorry, and NYDSCC. Another $3,000 to the energy chairperson, which is Kevin Parker, Democrat. September 12th, 2020, hundreds marched against fracking gas line or gas powered plants in Astoria. So you see, now they're going to have what? Now watch this from Mr. B too. You see an old pattern, which will happen in the future. You're going to have a bunch of marches and riots and protests happening in the street about Green Deal and climate change and all this other crap. Why? Because it's been bought and paid for by the Democrats. Okay? Through what? Your petroleum companies. Okay? Now, December 8th, donates $10,000 to New York, D.C. under first ever donation to the group. Okay. October 9th, IPPNY donates $1,000 to Assembly Corporation, Amy Paulin. December 16th, residents chain themselves to North Brooklyn Pipeline as a protest. So see, protests. Democrats are famous for protests. Got to pay for the protests. Where are they getting the money from? Oil company. October 20, 2020, ExxonMobil donates $5,000 to DACC. October 23rd, another $500 to Assembly Chairperson to Michael Kuzik. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. Okay? Here is... Since the CLCPA became law in 2019, the DACC have received $22,000 from energy and fossil fuel company groups. The New York DSCC has received $14,500 from energy and fossil groups. Senator Majority Leader Andrea has have received $2,000. Carl, another $2,000. Kevin, $8,700, and Michael another over $5,000. So you see these people? These are what? Bought and paid for by what? The Democratic group. Just the same way BLM, just the same way with your GAY rights people, the same thing with LGBTQ. All that has been bought and paid for by the Democrats, by their source that was given donations to. This one, in this case, when it deals with anything on the future when it comes to energy or renewable or climate change or green deals, are bought and paid for by a Democratic Party, by petroleum companies. Okay? So they're utilizing people within their Democratic groups that vote Democrat into these grassroots organizations that are bought and paid for with the Democrat money by their donations from people. Okay. Here is their campaign stuff. It shows you proof right here. And if this is just, and I'm just showing you proof of just what, 3 people out of the Democratic Party. Imagine if every one of you guys did your own homework. Research every single Democrat. Even the key ones, the top ones like Pelosi, Schumer, whoever. I guarantee their fingers are in the pudding. Okay? So you got the link on that. I'll let you check that one out. And then here's another interesting. I keep referencing this because people don't do it. I don't know why. But if you go to opensecrets.org, okay, that should be your third link. I think I've given you guys on the bottom there, or the last one. I don't know which. This also gives you a lot of information on sources of where the donations come from, especially coming from the Democratic Party. Okay. And this one here is from Open Secrets. It says Green Energy Interest Boosts Biden and Democrats. This was posted December 18, 2020. So he already is premeditating before he even gets into his seat what he's planning on doing with United States citizens when it comes to climate change, green deals, and climate crisis. So he's going to hypen it up the same way he did the CV. He's going to hypen it up the same way he's done other things. Okay? And anything that's good, he's going to take away. Anything that's bad, he's going to increase. It's kind of like the Project Mirror for him. Okay? If it's good, we take it away. If it's bad, we increase it. Okay? So here it says, Jobs Not Tree is a center of Mr. B's climate plan. Okay. Now you can press that link, and there's stuff here in blue where it says Joe B climate plan. You can press that and you can check it out what he planning on doing. Okay. But it says here the 2 trillion proposal focuses on switching over clean energy sources to move that, and promises to create millions more jobs. Well, here, you just can't all of a sudden, poof, on a silver platter, create millions of jobs. You have to put them through school, Mr. B. You've got to pay for their training. You've got to pay for their internship. You've got to pay for them to go through a school to get that training. Okay? Whether it be solar, wind, revitalization, renewable, etc. Okay? Just common sense there, my man. Okay? But it says here, it promises that it plagues the interests of individuals and the PAC associated with alternative energy production. So see, their Democratic PAC is already associated with alternative energy production. Right there is proof. And that's highlighted in blue. You can check that link out too. But it says, look out for the careers as well as the environment. Growing industry more than double its contributions from previous election cycles that give a record $11.1 million in 2020. The spending comes from election year twice expenditures of 2016's election, and the oil and gas industry far outspent its counterpart. Alternative energy industry strategically donates come in part because of the industry relies on the government, which heavily subsidizes renewable energy production. Keywords, listen to that. You want me to redo that? Alternative energy industry. Here, I'll even highlight it so you can get what I'm saying. Here, I'll move it up. The alternative energy strategic donations, you hear that? Strategic donations come in part because of the industries rely on the government. See, that's proof of paid for play, proof of washing each other's hands. How much more do you want me to go there? Okay. That's just in a sentence. Which heavily subsidize renewable energy production. The industry receives an estimate $11.6 billion in tax-related support in 2017. The fossil fuel industry receives $4.6 billion. Some of these subsidiaries, like the production tax credit, are set to expire as soon as the end of this month. Well, this is older. In hopes of protection, here I'm just going to do this. Hopes and protection of subsidiaries, the alternative energy industry gives primary Democratic candidates this year partisan contribution at 77% went to the Democratic Party. You hear that? That's in what, 2016? Imagine what it is now. Okay. But the Republican supporting industry receives a cut as well. The third largest recipient this year was Senator Johnny Ernst of Iowa, who, despite denying that humans cause climate change, has pushed hard to boost the renewable fuel standard, which requires mixing certain amounts of ethanol into its fuel. So did you hear that? So what you're paying at the pump, you have ethanol in it, people. Ethanol is made from corn and a major Iowa crop. So do you see just in that one sentence that how important that one sentence is? Okay. Ethanol, which is at your pump, which is mixed into your fuel, which makes your problems on your car, but it is what it is. Okay. But it helps clean the air, I guess, or something. Came from corn from Iowa. So what's happening at the grocery store? Our corn prices are going up. How many of you guys have bought a ear of corn at the grocery store? How much is it? Is it on sale? Yeah, maybe a bumper crop's coming in. You're getting it 6 for $2 or something like that, right? Do you think that bumper crop's going to come into your gas? No. Okay. Are you connecting the dots yet? Are you thinking about that? It says close to 1 million of alternative energy industry donations went directly to Biden. Wow, really? Let's get into this one. It says close to 1 million of the alternative energy industry donations, $1 million, went to Biden, a drop in the bucket to his 1 billion campaign. But a significant amount of the industry, such as groups, spent proportionately more outside spending than ever before, giving 3.9 million to primary liberal outside groups. So we have liberal outside Democratic groups that they gave more to. Future renewable energy is looking brighter for these industries, especially if Biden's, now listen to this very, very closely. The future of renewable energy is looking brighter for those industry officials, especially if Biden administration is able to pass some of the most aggressive climate policies to date. Let me re-emphasize that. The future of renewable energy is looking brighter for these industry officials, especially if Biden administration is able to pass some of the most aggressive climate policies to date. Alternative energy is increasing both popular nationally and globally, and hydropower and wind power are the most common sources. Last year, an annual energy consumption of renewable sources exceeded coal consumption in the U.S. for the first time since 1885. Did it work back then? What also happened back in 1885? In that not exact year, but within that year, they had what? The Spanish flu, electricity, etc. Right? Think about that. Think about that and the connections to the CV and all the crap going currently. Okay. Now, and remember, Biden got $1 million to push his agenda of this, which is pushing on to the American people. Although renewable energy is rapidly growing, fossil fuel is still dominant to U.S. energy consumption, and the oil and gas industry also dominates in term the campaign finances. The industry made 111.3 million in federal contributions this year. Wow. Spending over 100 million more in alternative energy. Oil companies given more than far given more to the Republicans, with 84% partisan donation given to the right. Environmental groups also, well, this is probably given to the rhinos, I guarantee you that. That's the ones that are on the side of the Democrats. The rhino Republicans are on the side of the Democrats. Environmental groups also go ahead with the big oil, like alternative energy, and these activists push green policies don't necessarily work directly with the field, unlike alternative energy industry. Environmental groups and Whole didn't donate as enthusiastic in 2020. These groups spent far less in years past, giving only 47.9 million to federal contributions. They gave to little to outside groups, spending just 1/3 of what they did in 2016. Now, think about that. Okay? They gave more in 2016 than they did in 2020. Okay? All right, let's go into it a little bit more. Let me see what else here. Right here it says Biden has called climate change the number one issue facing humanity. Now, we've heard him physically say that, right, on TV, or pretty close to that, right? And on his, and it says it here, and it says his focus on climate hasn't wavered during his elected. He created a new cabinet level position named the former Senator John Kerry. Democrat from Massachusetts, as his special president envoy on climate. Kerry, who was a 2004 Democrat presidential nominee and later served President Barack Obama, Secretary of State, played a key role in original negotiations of Paris Agreement, which Biden promises to re-enter immediately after elected. Remember? Interesting. Biden also expected to pick Michael S. Regan, Secretary of North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, as the next Environmental Protection Agency administrator, as well as Gina McCarthy, former EPA chief, as House climate coordinator. Interesting. See how they all side on one side, right? All right. You guys can go check that out. You guys still with me on this one? Okay, good deal. All right. So that's that one. Now the other one is from Roll Call. It says oil gas firms give more cash to Democrats resisting carbon fees. Remember Mr. B says we got to reduce everybody's carbon. Got to reduce everybody's carbon. You know, how are we going to reduce everybody's carbon? Well, we're not going to let them drive any more gas cars. They got to go to electric. Well, hey, Mr. DS, you know what? You forgot something. You can make as many little plug in the plug wall kind of charging stations you want, and millions of them. You can put one in every Circle K or every gas station in America. But guess what? Once it goes online, the grid can't handle it. So guess what happens to your electric cars? They don't work. Do you know that there's more fires in electric cars than there is in gas cars? Have any of you guys actually looked at how much it costs to replace batteries of a Tesla or any other electric car? You might as well buy a new car. That's how much they're worth. So, okay, here's the next little thing. You think you're under a climate crisis, and everybody there on the West Coast is worried about what? Blackouts, okay? Well, what do you think is going to happen when you plug in all these freaking electric cars? You're going to have a permanent blackout. Some of you guys don't do the research. I know. Anyway, check it. All right. Anyway, it says Congress, let's see here. Contributions in FAR of 2021 higher than they were in 2020 when the climate and social spending bill was not in play. Are these Democrat minions? Probably. Here is Republican Henry Cooler, who raised an objection of energy-related provision to his party budget reconciliation package. I can't even say that word. Has been top recipient of campaign cash from oil and gas interests this year. This was posted December 9th, 2021. Oil and gas interests of this Congress has increased their giving to the House Democrats. So who's making the big stink about all the problems of pushing back any Republican agenda? House Democrats. Look at the pattern. Okay. See why? They're getting paid for it. Okay. Many different directions. This is one of them. Oil and gas interests in Congress have increased their giving to the House Democrats, who have worked to stop and weaken restrictions and fees of their parties. 2.2 trillion climate and social spending bill, which would place on their industry, according to analysis of campaign contributions. Paid for play, people. Wake up. Here, do you need it in blue? Are you reading it? Read it. Think about it. Chew it up a little bit. Paid for play. Every single Democrat is paid for play. And here's the proof of just one connection of their money trail. I'm showing you is the gas and oil area. Imagine if I did every single one of them. All right, I'm off my podium minute. Using the list of federal data compiled by nonpartisan watchdog Open Secrets of the biggest corporation donors to Congress from an oil and gas industry. CQ Roll Call reviews campaign donations made during the first 3 quarters of the year, focusing donations of political action committees, 10 that represent companies and 4 represent different segments of the petroleum supply chain, from drilling to refining to distributing. Their hands are in it all. The review found that 14 political action committees, PACs, or representing oil and gas companies and industry trade groups have given, check this number out, you want it emphasized in blue, $352,500 to 40 House Democrat campaigns. This is 40 individual Democrats that are sitting in your Democrat House. And I'm sure it's much more now. Although these contributions are a small fracking of $6.5 million worth of campaign checks to the industry so far cut in the 2022 election cycle, to Open Secrets, according to Open Secrets, more than 2/3 which have gone to Republican candidates, increased their previous campaign cycle, flowing largely to members of vocal climate change opposition and their party's centerpiece legislation. So here's the proof on the rhinos of the Republican Party. They're also receiving campaign cycle contributions, according to OpenSecrets.org, from the gas and oil companies. Those are the rhinos. And it's posing climate elements and so on and so forth, so that they can, be on the side of the Democrats. Spokesman for American Petroleum Institute and its donation reflects support of leaders of both parties. American Gas Association PAC reduces contributions in 2021, and it went down to $153,500. So they're giving you basically an actual crunch. Now, here is oil and gas company flow to Texas. Okay. And these are the 40, I've got a list of, are you ready for this? I got the list of 40 Democrats that received money from gas and oil companies. Let's see, who do I recognize here? We got Garcia, we got Thompson, we got Gonzalez. We have Correa, Meeks, Jackson Lee, Rush, Dirch. Ooh, Dirch. Oh, I got to tell that one. That's in Charlotte County, Florida. Oh, if you live in Florida and you live in Charlotte County, Florida, guess what? Dirch received $1,500 from the gas and oil company. So all you locals need to vote Dirch out. He's dirty. He's dirty, dirty, dirty. Wow. See, I learned something just as much as you guys. See? Interesting. Wow. All right. And then we have Brown, Payne. I've heard of Payne. He's in New Jersey. Let's see if there's any other. I'm curious to see if there's any other Florida ones in here, since we got a little Florida news happening too. Nope, he's the only one in Florida. Wow. So Dirch, that's on the county commissioner seat in Charlotte County, Florida, he has received dirty money from the gas and oil company of $1,500 back in 2020, I believe it was. Was it 2020? Yep. Wow. So he's part of it. Interesting. Well, I hope you guys in Charlotte County kind of wake up and vote his butt out. That's all I'm going to say. Better smell the coffee now while you can. All right. That's interesting. That got me. All right, let's see. So the total contributions to the 14 packs throughout the first 3 quarters of 2021 went 70% went to 7 House Democrats, mostly whom are from Texas, South Texas, Houston, Dallas, Oregon, and some from California. So, and let's see. Now let's see what else we can get into. You guys got, I think you guys got the thing on this. If it's not rolling around on the bottom of your screen with a link, it'll probably be in the next one that I'm going to post. So, and here's something interesting. After total votes against methane proposal in committee, his committee received 1,500 and another 1,000 and another 1,000. So it's like every time that a Democrat opposes something, they pay him off with money. Isn't that weird? What can I say? Paid for play. What don't you understand, Republicans, GOP, Senate and House GOP? What don't you get? I really don't understand this common sense that you don't have. I don't get it. I just don't. Sorry. All right. Yeah, I know. Through my show, I get all kinds of stuff on that. All right. So next one. Here, I'm going to give you the next links on the next show. There we go. And okay. So is that up? Let me see. Is that up? Let me look. Okay. So here's the next set of links, which will cover the last 2 or 3 stories here. Exxon lobbyists paid 6 Democrats to name in sting video nearly $333,000. Now, isn't that a magical number? That's a Freemason number, people. Just 33. Okay. Got to look at that too with the gematria code. All right. Anyway, these influences were done in Arizona, Delaware, Montana, New Hampshire, and West Virginia. Now, where did we have election problems with the Trump? In those areas. Same areas: Arizona, Delaware, Montana, New Hampshire, West Virginia, right? Okay. Are you feeling me connecting the dots yet? I don't know. Are you awake? Did you drink your coffee? I don't know. All right. The story originally published, let's see. So this one gives you an insight on how much the Democrats were paid off by the oil companies. And what I mean paid off is basically a paid for play. They made a donation, and then certain agendas had to be talked about or passed or whatever. Now, here's interesting. As a result, Exxon lobbyist PAC lobbying firm made donations to particular senators. They've asked themselves to do what they expect and what they did get in return, said Cantor, the former ethics counsel for Obama and Clinton administration. Bingo. Paid for play. Again. It says right here, made donations to a particular senators, plural, we have asked ourselves what to do they expect and what they did they get in return. Paid for play. You understand? Whether it's frontward, backwards, or reverse, it's paid for play. Makes no difference. All right, now here's the last part of my show, and I know I'm going on the hour. Want to fight climate change effectively? Here's where you donate money. Here is where Mr. B and his Democrat minions are trying to push their agenda, but they're making money off of something that really isn't a major situation yet. I mean, there is situations, but it's like if someone gets hurt and they fall down, they're making it where they totally broke a bone and they're, can't get back up kind of thing. You know what I mean? That's basically, and they're taking full advantage of this, of the climate change and the Green Deals. Democrats are taking full advantage of it. This is showing proof of it. if you read this, you care about fighting climate change. This is great, blah, blah, blah. And they give you the introduction of everything. Okay. So here is where they're hiding the money. The Environment Defense Fund, the Natural Conservancy, the Natural Resource Defense Council, Bezos Earth Fund. That's BEZO's Earth Fund. Let's see what else here. Founders Pledge. Let's see. Living Green. So they're going to have all of these different names of all these different nonprofit groups where they're laundering the money through so that they can put more in their back pocket and get their deals made and their agenda forward. Okay. So look at that last link. That gives you proof. But here's give you a list of them. They call one the Clean Air Task Force. Remember we had Space Force, right? Well, now Mr. B and all the rest of them are having Clean Air Task Force. It was founded over 25 years ago, but evidently it's just a new, I guess, they're going to awaken the beast of it, I guess, maybe. Then we have Carbon 180. This is another group. These are all nonprofits, people. We got the Evergreen Collaborative. Now, where did we see the word evergreen? On the ships that were over where in the Suez Canal that got jammed up? Who's connected to that? Are you feeling me connecting the dots yet? Okay. Rainforest Foundation US. And Sunrise Movement Education Fund. And Climate Emergency Fund. And Terra Prius, which is a UK one. So this is not only just a US problem, but it's globally. And these are all the nonprofit groups so far that anybody in the globe can donate to. All right, so that gives you how many of them I gave you? 5, 6, 7 groups. Okay, so these are kind of like the Democratic grassroots organizations, but for their agenda of Green Deal, climate change, crisis, stuff like that. There's your proof. Now, you can go to opensecrets.org. You can look up all these groups, see if they donated or not. And then you can connect these groups to whatever Democrats. This 7 groups I just listed, you can go and research research all these 7 groups to the linkage to any Democrat. Okay? You'll see it. I'm telling you, you'll see it. Anyway, this is Boho with the info. This is our part 1 on our series on this. I think this is another one of those things where you got to have your head on a swivel with everything else, but you have to multitask through all the corruption that's happening in the globe right now. They're adding on to the cake of corruption, and this is the latest. So we have to look at this and look at it early and get the information out and push it forward, not hold the line, but push forward and keep pushing back against this regime that Mr. B is under. Because America won't be America anymore if we don't. Anyway, this is Boho with the info. We're over and out. Please share my channel with others. I'll post this on Twitter and other places. And Gab, please go to Gab. Most of my information will be there, as well as Safe Chat. Until next time, this is Boho with the info. We're out.